Bill O'Reilly is still sharing his opinions at BillO'Reilly.com with podcasts where he comments on the news of the day every day. You want to catch that at BillO'Reilly.com. Let me introduce you to my friend, Bill O'Reilly. Hi, Bill.
Beck, how you doing?
Even after last week,
it's still the warm.
There's no
week that wasn't warm and fuzzy.
That was not the kind of half snort, half breath, like, oh geez. Hello, Beck. How you doing?
I want to keep it pithy, Beck, so you can get into the good.
All right. Okay. All right. So, have you been following? Of course, you have. The ratings over at Fox News since you left.
Yeah. What about them?
Another very bad week for Fox News in third place. Your slot is in third place. And now it appears as they're coming after, as I predicted on this program, coming after Sean Hannity.
Right. Well, first of all, I don't know if the ratings are fair, but they did okay on their coverage of the Manchester terror attack. I think Fox News is number one tonight. We talked about this last week when we said that if you're going to make big changes in any operation, whether it's TV, radio, sports, got to have a plan. I'm not sure that the Fox News poobahs have a plan. So, but there's a lot of talent there.
Are you concerned about? I'm concerned. I mean, Sean Hannity and I disagree on an awful lot of things.
Yeah,
that's okay.
The Hannity thing is interesting because it's the same playbook that they use with me, and they being Media Matters and their affiliated groups.
And they're going after him in exactly the same way.
Terrorize the sponsors.
Right, and I wonder if Fox is going to learn the lesson or if they're going to let that happen. And if he goes, the next stop, they've cleaned house at Fox. The next stop is talk radio.
Well, that's right. This is a very, very methodical and effective campaign of media terror. That's what it is, media terror. These people sit up there and they threaten sponsors. If you don't pull out, then we're going to put it on the internet that nobody should buy your car or whatever product. And so they pull out. The key to it is if the broadcast companies themselves are going to stand up to this, and everybody should, because it could happen to anyone. And it's clear what's happening. And we're going to expose it, my team that I put together to investigate what happened to me. In another few weeks, we'll have amazing information for everybody about how well-funded and targeted this is. So if Fox News wants to keep any semblance of what it once was, it's going to have to fight these people, and I'm not sure whether they will or will not.
Before we go on to the next topic, I just have to know, terra, is that a word for, that's Latin for land, isn't it? Or
no, it's O-R, not A.
Huh. Right, exactly. Oh, I see.
And Latin is T-E-R-R-A.
Well, I didn't know what you were saying because I know how to spell terror and pronounce it, and you seem confused because it sounded like you were saying it's terra.
I'm from Long Island.
Right. Okay. All right. I got it. Okay. All right. I got it.
Are you talking down to me?
No, Mr. O'Reilly. You are the king, sir, and I would never do that. All right. So let's go to the terror attacks in Manchester, England. What are your thoughts on that, Bill?
Another ISIS operation. Looks like the guy was trained in Syria. Got there from Libya. His father and his brother have been arrested. It's more of the same. And I asked this question for years. Why is the world allowing ISIS to have a headquarters in a Syrian town called Raqqa? Why? Mm-hmm. Why isn't every nation joined together and say we're going to obliterate these people by force? And that's that. I don't understand why they have been able to sit there for 4 years.
Do you believe that is an accomplishment of Donald Trump? He was at the EU yesterday in Brussels, not the EU, but NATO headquarters in Brussels. And while, some of the NATO people said we have differences of opinion with Mr. Trump, but not on this. We are united against ISIS.
Well, they say that, but where's the declaration of war that NATO should announce against ISIS? And, there's got to be some formalization here of the fight, and there isn't. So anybody can get up there and say, oh, this is terrible, we're going to fight ISIS, and then what are they going to do? What do they do? Are you going to put more troops in Afghanistan because ISIS is there now? Are you going to pay more of the freight that Trump has been banging the drum on? Are you going to pay more of the cost of the NATO alliance? So what are you going to do? So once it gets into specifics, then you don't hear much from them. Everybody's, oh, yeah, it's terrible, we're going to go get them, and then nobody goes gets them.
Let me play a clip from BillO'Reilly.com. This is, I believe this is Tuesday's podcast. Listen to this. If we have it. Do we have it? Wasn't that interesting?
You should talk more on your podcast.
Do we have it? Keith, do we have that clip?
Maybe having some audio issues here.
Yeah.
No, some audio issues. Sorry about that.
Okay, so let's get back to it. It was a fascinating clip.
Yeah.
It really was, Bill. We don't actually have a clip. None of us have listened to your podcast. We're just trying to. Okay, so in the clip, you are you make the point that President Obama refused to confront evil before it grew out of control, and now little girls were killed at a pop concert. What I want to ask you on that, Bill, is President Obama yesterday came out with a statement, and I quote, "At least we did something in Syria." My response was, really? How do you respond to that? Yeah, what did he do besides draw a line in the sand and then let them stomp all over him?
Yeah, I didn't see that quote, but I mean, I think the Obama administration was caught in a policy of retreat that simply made terrorism worse. And I think that's beyond a reasonable doubt. So I understand the policy. He didn't want to confront foreign terrorists on their own soil or Afghanistan or chase the Taliban around. He didn't want to do it. So he withdrew the troops from Iraq, cut the force in Afghanistan. So what happened? ISIS pops up in Iraq, gains strength, goes over to Syria, causes trouble. Now they're in Afghanistan. So I think the president might say, my policy really didn't work. It was sincere. We thought it would. It didn't. And now we have to do something else. That seems logical to me.
So you also have made the point this week in the podcast about Donald Trump, did what he could to stop terrorists from coming to America, potential terrorists coming to America and creating chaos and committing these heinous acts here in America. He was ridiculed, as you said. He was ridiculed, and the judges went around him. Trump's travel ban was blocked yet again, this time by the Fourth Circuit Court.
Right. Well, it's not a partisan issue for me. I mean, if the president of the United States wants to stop immigration from 7 countries that can't vet people getting on airplanes, that seems to be a logical thing. But the left has made it into an anti-Muslim screed. The judges have upheld that screed. It's not being based on a constitution. In the Supreme Court, the president will win, and he should take it there as soon as he can. Is that going to make a big difference? 7 countries, a few refugees coming here? No, but it's a symbolic thing that, the world has to be an orderly place. And if you have a Somalia where anybody can get on an airplane and go to Paris and then change planes to go to New York, you might want to stop that.
Right.
So to me, again, it's all logical. And I appreciate you referring to the podcast, by the way. A quick plug. Everybody, not just premium members of BillO'Reilly.com, can listen to all the podcasts this coming Memorial Day weekend and get a flavor of what we're doing. So I just wanted to get that in.
Crap, I was going to the beach. I didn't know about this. I got to sit in my house.
You have your little headphones on.
I got to sit in my house all day and just listen to BillO'Reilly.com podcast. That's an incredible. I wish I would have known earlier.
Listen, on your introduction, you are the show of enlightenment.
Yes.
So you're just spreading that enlightenment by promoting BillO'Reilly.com.
Right. Okay. BillO'Reilly.com. Back in a second with more of Bill O'Reilly. He's on with us every Friday to kind of, tell us what he's picked up that we might have missed or others certainly have missed in the news reporting of the week. Every Friday, Bill O'Reilly.
This is the Glenn Beck Program.
But I believe that Trump asked Coates and Rogers, hey, if you don't have anything, would you please put that out because my administration is under siege? That's a reasonable request. That's reasonable. If I'm president and I'm asking my guys, look, do you have anything? And if you don't, can you just maybe go on a record and say at this point in time, this day, we don't really have much? That boosts morale. It's a reasonable request, but it's now being spun as some kind of behind the scenes, behind the back, dastardly deed.
So, Bill, what I like about this is the fact that you have a dog bark in the middle of a very important point.
Watchdog. I'm a watchdog.
No, that's not if that's your watchdog, I'm coming to rob your house. That's a little yip-yappy dog.
Yipe, yipe, no, that's yipe. It's a fierce corgi.
What are you, the queen?
The queen never walks the dogs, though. I have to.
So let me go back to this point, because what the press was saying this week about Donald Trump was, hey, he went and he asked, look, can you just say that you're not, you don't have anything? Well, that's the way they spun it. But I think the truth is what you just said. And it is reasonable. Say, look, the country can't take a long, drawn-out scandal. If you have something, or, at this point, you can say, we don't have anything, but it's continuing. Whatever. Can you just keep the people up to speed? Because this is causing chaos.
Right. It's as simple as that. But just the fact that Trump would address the issue with anybody involved in the investigation means to the anti-Trump press that he's corrupting it. So I think this is the kind of perspective that Americans need to hear, because they're not hearing it on the national news television broadcasts and in the newspapers. They're not hearing it. It's like every leak is a negative, and he's just the devil, and everything he does is bad, and that's that. But if you're president, you would do exactly what you just said, Beck. You'd say, want an update, okay? Look, I want to know if any of my guys are under suspicion. I'd like to know that, and I have an obligation to run the country, and this is demoralizing the country, so let's get updates from time to time.
For instance,
nothing wrong with that.
The other thing is that he hired a private attorney. I would absolutely do that if I were him.
I'd have 5 of them.
Yeah, I would too.
You have to.
You are sitting there. You are the most targeted man. I would lawyer up because I don't know if you saw this, Bill, but there is I'm trying to remember the website we found it. It's on some crazy left Silicon Valley tech website. At least that's the way I looked at it. And I don't know it thoroughly, but it just screamed lefty. And what they did is they took old clips from the 1980s and 90s of Donald Trump, and then they took new clips, and then they went to neurologists and neurospeech therapists and said, is he declining in health? I mean, his brain health. And they actually, you're not supposed to diagnose people. Psychiatrist, neurologist, they were all on the record. None of them had their name exposed, saying, yep, it looks like he's in the early stages of dementia. They're setting up the 25th Amendment.
They'll do anything. So Trump is smart to hire his private lawyers, but he's also done something else that's interesting. He's formed a rapid deployment force to answer all of these leaks and to provide some perspective for the country. When they come out in the morning paper, he's got guys that are now dedicated to saying, well, wait a minute, it's not quite that way. Here are the facts. Because Spicer, he's really not effective doing that. He needs to have a very methodical crew that can run down what the allegations are, and then here are the facts. Needs to do it on a website so people can read it. But they are organizing that now, and he has to, because it's a drip, drip, drip. You're right. They're going to try to set him up in any way they can to get him out of office. That's the goal. The goal isn't reporting the honest truth to the American public. The goal is to get this man out of office.
So let me ask you this, Bill. Honest question. So I know it's a little bit of a CNN question, but let me ask you. You respect the president. You like the president. So that's an easy question.
Well, I've known him for 30 years. I like him as a guy.
Okay, all right. So you
I respect the office of the presidency.
Good. All right. So you like him as a guy, and
right.
If he took a dump on your desk, would you say it was art?
Look, that was a crude remark by Anderson Cooper.
Oh my God! I didn't even what?
I was surprised because Cooper usually doesn't traffic in that stuff.
Cooper. I think lost his mind temporarily, and he immediately apologized for it. And he felt
not.
Really
I mean,
bad.
the eye roll and everything. Yeah. You know, he doesn't like Trump. Fine, we all understand that. Your whole crew doesn't like Trump at CNN. Yep. If you do like Trump at CNN, you really can't function there.
No.
And the same thing with the newspapers. But look, for my purposes, all right, I don't rubber stamp Donald Trump. I've been critical on Trump. Anybody remembering my interviews with him? I mean, I confronted him on Putin. That was a famous worldwide thing. I confronted him on immigration. I confronted him on a whole bunch of stuff. So it's not my job to be rubber stamping Donald Trump as president. My job is to try to get to the truth of whatever is happening that day. That is my job. And I'll tell you what. In the mainstream American media now, by mainstream I mean the national press.
10 seconds.
They aren't looking for the truth. They do not look for the truth.
More with Bill O'Reilly from BillO'Reilly.com next.
You're listening to the Glenn Beck Program. Mercury.
This is the Glenn Beck Program.
Sign up for the newsletter and get all the info you need to know at glennbeck.com.
Now, I have Bill O'Reilly from BillO'Reilly.com. And this is a special Friday. He's usually with us for an hour on Fridays, so we can hear his opinion and remind you that he is on every day on podcast at BillO'Reilly.com. But I wanted to take this moment, and Bill, I hope you take this as seriously as we do, and I know you do, or will, because you're a body language expert. Am I not correct?
I had a segment on body language. I don't know if I'd be an expert.
I believe that's an expert. I'm
an observer of your body language, Beck, and it's frightening.
You don't.
How's his posture?
So,
no, I mean, if you look at Beck and the way he moves around, you can have a very, very good discussion with an archaeologist and a paleontologist.
Let me tell you something right now. If you're watching, those fingers are in casts. I cannot move those two fingers. And they just happen to be one broken on each hand and nothing more. So, Bill, I want to ask you this, because there's been quite a controversy over 3 events this week. One happened yesterday. One happened, I think, on Tuesday. And then one happened on Wednesday. Let's start on Tuesday. He's landing in Jerusalem, President Trump, and he's coming down the red carpet. And there is footage of Melania, Trump reaching out to hold Melania's hand, and she slaps it away. Did you see it?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I didn't take it as a slap. I might have been just, look, I can make it down here myself or something. I kind of try to stay away from that kind of stuff. But yes, it was amusing to those who do not like the Trumps.
No. It wasn't amusing to me because I've lived that life. And my wife has done that to me. And I just didn't know. I thought maybe somebody who's all hoity-toity actually has that happen to him. Then the next day, again on the tarmac, he reaches for her hand, and she moves her hand and crosses her face to brush back her hair, and he doesn't reach for her hand again. Coincidence?
Yeah, she might be mad at him or something. You know how that
goes.
Okay, all right. Now, here's
So you'll admit that, though. It looks like she's mad at it.
It might.
Maybe. I mean, I know you don't like to connect the dots, but can we infer that she's pissed off at him?
I think she's furious with Putin and is transferring.
All right. Okay. So the next one. This has nothing to do with Melania. Did you see the footage from yesterday with Donald Trump at the NATO Summit where he took, if you want to call him a president, the president of Montenegro, and just pushed him out of the way and then stood in the front? Not like he didn't even have an excuse. It's not like, hey, excuse me for a second, I had to hear this. He just pushed him out of the way, stood in his place, and then just kind of looked around. Did you see that?
I did not see that, I have to confess.
Awesome.
Yeah. But I did read about that. But what I read on the progressive websites was he kicked him in the groin.
No.
You're not
taking this seriously,
He's not.
Bill.
Are you sensing that too?
MSNBC.
This is real news.
Condition, the Montenegro guy.
Yeah, I mean
that didn't happen.
No, and and the Montenegro guy, president or king or whatever he is, he's important to NATO. I mean, we don't have the fighting.
We lose Montenegro, and it's over.
We don't have the fighting Monties with us. We're in trouble.
Listen, Montenegro is a beautiful country, all right, but there is a tradition there that perhaps you don't know, Beck. As a sign of affection and respect, you shove people.
Especially the president.
It goes right up to the top. The more you shove, the more you love them.
I like that. I didn't know that.
Any kind of international stuff, just run it right by me.
So Bill, you've been to Montenegro.
Many times. I have a condo there.
Right there by the beach area.
Yeah, it was a good view of Kosovo from my
right. It's beautiful, beautiful, especially this time of year. All right. Did we miss anything, Bill, that
Well, Father's Day is coming up, Beck, and again, we want you to check out Killing the Rising Sun for Dad and Granddad. And the very hysterical and enlightening old school Life in the Sane Lane. So we want people to check that out for Dad. Makes good gifts. Dad does not want the tie this year. Dad told me, and Granddad certainly doesn't want the tie. Wants the books. So go in and please check those out. And that's all pretty much I have.
My dad doesn't want the
your deceased father.
Darn it.
Yeah, you put the books on his grave. Very nice.
Oh, that was last week. Yeah, you remembered.
Yeah.
But you remembered that. But you
know what people don't know is that your late father is buried in Montenegro.
Right.
Wow, really?
Yeah. Right there by the
beach area. Beach area,
yeah,
right? Yes.
Yeah. So it's very nice. It's very nice. Bill, have a great Memorial Day weekend.
Memorial Day.
What are you going to do?
Going to go out to the beach myself and just chant and try to get in touch with Chelsea Clinton, who's my new favorite Clinton.
Really?
Really? Try to see if we can
she's been saying some things this week that that you've kind of taken issue with.
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
Chelsea wants to be the arbiter of what's racist and homophobic and sexist. She's going to make the decisions. And I don't know if Chelsea's quite up to that, but perhaps I'm wrong.
Well, why do you say she's not qualified? She's the daughter of a.
No one is qualified to make those decisions unless you can have an X-ray into a person's heart. If what Chelsea wants to do is just create this PC culture where if you say, "Gee, I support a border wall," you're a bigot. Or I support workfare. If you're going to get some government money, you really should go out and look for, you're anti-poor. This is what Chelsea wants to do. So I kind of took her to task for that.
So if you said, I identify as a black man and I'm going to work for the NAACP, do you think they'd embrace you like they did,
No.
What's her name?
No. It's,
what a bigot.
I believe that in this country, if we were all honest with each other about, look, this is my circumstance, and here's where I'd like it to be better, and maybe you could help me there, I think that 90% of Americans would buy into all of that. But if you start to accuse people of being racist and this and that, and it's all negative and you're a bad person just because you don't agree with me politically, we're never going to solve any problems.
Right.
And that's where we find ourselves right now.
Yeah.
We find ourselves with the progressive left demonizing and trying to harm anyone with whom they disagree. And that is a bad place to be.
What is the thing that reasonable people on the left side of the spectrum say about the right that is true or partially true?
If you talk to moderate Democrats or liberal people who are open-minded and will listen to an opposing point of view rather than condemning it immediately, you'll find that they feel the right is not compassionate enough. That's the common thread. All right, you don't feel sorry for the folks enough. But if you say to them, as I do, and I think you do this as well, my solutions to the problems are more compassionate because they'll solve the problem, at least partially. Your solutions never solve it. You feel bad for them, but nothing gets better.
Yeah, it's interesting that, like Black Lives Matter, they're fighting against oppression. But I believe the solutions that they are recommending of, an absence of capitalism, et cetera, only will create more oppression. Education, family values, respect for the Constitution. That doesn't mean respect for the law if the law is wrong. It means respect the Constitution. Those things lead to freedom.
They don't like the Constitution, generally speaking, the Black Lives Matter people. They feel the Constitution was put into place by slave owners, by brutalizers of their race. They don't want any part of it. They want to tear it down. That's why they say that the police are bad. Okay, this is the Black Lives Matter theme. Police are bad. The police protect poor people and defenseless people, but not in their eyes. They're bad. Okay, Black Lives Matter, what would you put in place of the police? Silence. They don't have it. They don't know. It's all about victimization from them. This is a crew that, has risen up based on America is bad, and you better know it. And if you don't know it, then you're bad. That's what that crew stands for.
Bill O'Reilly from BillO'Reilly.com all this weekend. You don't have to be a premium subscriber. Anybody can go to BillO'Reilly.com, even me, and listen
to the podcast.
Listen to the podcast.
And learn many things.
I can't wait. I'm not going to the beach. BillO'Reilly.com, where you can also get Father's Day gifts for Grandpa and for Dad in every size book you could possibly imagine. BillO'Reilly.com. Bill, thank you so much, brother.
Have a great weekend, Beck,
You
and
too.
Best to all the vets out there on Memorial Day.
You got it. We'll talk to you in a couple of weeks. We're going on vacation for a couple of weeks, and we'll talk to you then.
Have fun.